Two fighters throw a punch at the exact same time. One gets hit, the other doesn't. It's not a skill gap. It's a geometry problem written into their bones. It's called the Ape Index, and once you calculate yours, your entire athletic history finally makes sense. Here is how to find yours. Stretch your arms out flat. Measure fingertip to fingertip. That is your wingspan. Then subtract your height. The result is your Ape Index. 0 means your Ape Index is neutral. A positive number means your wingspan is longer than your height. A negative number means the opposite. Today we are discovering 7 profiles. Let's decode what your body was built to do. The Outlier Reaper, positive 8 inches to positive 9 inches. At a positive 8 inches to positive 9 inches index, you aren't just long. You are setting the terms of the fight before the first move is made. Think of Jon Jones, 6 feet 4 inches tall with a massive 7 feet 0.5 inches wingspan. While the world analyzed his creativity and timing, the truth was often simpler. He operated on a perimeter most humans physically couldn't enter. His opponents didn't just have to fight him, they had to solve a geometry problem where their own fists couldn't reach the target, but his were already there. In heavyweight MMA, Sergey Pavlovich carries a positive 9-inch index. That is not an edge. That is a verdict. But this isn't a superpower without a cost. If you have this index, try a heavy bench press. You'll feel it immediately. The bar has so far to travel that your shoulders are doing work a shorter-armed lifter never even considers. In anything that rewards compactness, gymnastics or close-quarters lifting, this massive reach becomes your greatest liability. This index restructures the entire contest around you. But what happens when the arena isn't a cage, but open water? The physics doesn't disappear. It just changes the shape of the advantage. The hydro hook, a positive 5 inches to positive 7 inches. Think of your arm as an oar. Every swimming stroke is a pull. The further ahead your hand reaches, the more water it catches. A longer arm isn't just reaching. It's scooping a bigger bucket of water on every single pull. Same energy, more meters, fewer strokes per lap. You're essentially rowing a bigger boat with the same engine. Michael Phelps is the ultimate proof. At 6 feet 4 inches with a wingspan up to 6 feet 9 inches, his body architecture gives him a geometric advantage that no amount of training can replicate in a shorter-armed swimmer. He doesn't just move through water better, he was built for it. But this oar mechanic works on land too. Conor McGregor carries a positive 5-inch index. In the cage, that same length becomes a jab that lands while the opponent is still trying to find the range. The environment changes, but the physics of the lever stays the same. The tax on this profile is shoulder durability. Moving a longer limb through thousands of repetitions, whether in the pool or the ring, accumulates wear much faster than it does for a compact athlete. The reach is your engine, but keeping it healthy is your constant struggle. But propulsion is only one way physics hands you a win. The next profile uses arm length for the exact opposite goal, not to move through space, but to eliminate that space entirely. The mechanical winch, positive 3 inches to positive 4 inches. In the deadlift, the job is simple. Get the bar from the floor to your hips. We assume everyone covers the same distance, except it isn't equal. If your arms are long, your hands hang lower. When you reach down to grip the bar, you are already closer to the finish line before the lift even starts. A shorter-armed lifter has to travel inches further to reach the same lockout. Same weight, same destination, but your version of the lift is geometrically shorter. You didn't cheat. The physics just handed you a head start. Look at Lamar Gant. He was only 5 feet 2 inches, but his arms were so long that at full lockout, the bar rested near his kneecaps, not his hips. He was essentially doing half the work of everyone else. In 1985, he became the first human to deadlift 5 times his body weight, 661 pounds at just 132 pounds. His reach didn't just help him, it rewrote what we thought was physically possible. The flip side? The bench press. Those same long levers mean the bar has a massive distance to travel to reach your chest. It is more work per rep and more stress on your joints. But in any pulling sport, powerlifting, strongman, or rowing, this index is a mechanical shortcut that a shorter-armed competitor simply cannot buy. Now stop for a second and stand up. Stretch your arms down your sides. Do your fingertips hang past your hips or fall short? Drop your index in the comments right now, because we are halfway through, and the profiles below this line are the ones that get completely misread. The Symmetry Specialist, 0 inches neutral. A neutral Ape Index is not the absence of an advantage. It is a different kind entirely. Every extreme index on this list makes a trade. The positive 8-inch index owns distance, but struggles with compactness. The negative 4-inch index crushes the bench press, but loses in the pool. But the symmetry specialist doesn't make that trade. Think of it like a Swiss Army knife sitting next to a surgical scalpel. The scalpel does one thing better than anything else in the room. But the Swiss Army knife wins the moment the task changes. Because your arms and height are in perfect proportion, your leverage is balanced across every movement pattern. You aren't fighting your own mechanics. Look at elite rock climber Tommy Caldwell. In a sport where people swear reach is everything, Caldwell conquered the Dawn Wall, the hardest climb in history, with a documented neutral index. Because he had no structural reach shortcut, he was forced to build a level of technical mastery and core stability that longer-armed climbers simply never needed to develop. Your limitation is that you won't outpull an oar-armed swimmer or out-deadlift a winch, but your edge becomes visible in multidiscipline sports like CrossFit, decathlon, or soccer. The symmetry specialist is built for endurance and versatility. You never fight your own levers long enough to find out where they break, but when the index tips negative, most people assume the story gets worse. They are wrong. In the next profile, being shorter isn't a weakness, it's a turbocharger. The Gyroscope Elite, -1 inch to -2 inches. Watch a figure skater mid-spin. When her arms are out wide, she rotates slowly. The moment she pulls them in tight, she becomes a blur. She didn't get stronger, she got compact. And in the world of physics, compactness is the same thing as speed. When a spinning object pulls its mass closer to its center, it rotates faster. Because your arms are shorter, they sit closer to your body's center by default. Every time you tuck midair, whether it's a backflip or a dive, you reach a tighter, faster configuration than a long-armed athlete ever could. You aren't spinning harder. The physics is just doing more with the energy you give it. Simone Biles is the ultimate proof. Her Yurchenko double pike generates a rotation speed so high that a taller, longer-armed gymnast attempting the same move would hit the floor before the spin even finished. It's not just athleticism, it's a body architecture designed for maximum RPMs. The trade-off? In sports that reward reach, like swimming or boxing, you are pulling a shorter oar. You have to work harder just to cover the same ground. But in any sport where the tighter the tuck, the higher the score, gymnastics, diving, or skating, this index doesn't just help. It defines the ceiling of what is humanly possible. But if you drop even further into negative territory, the advantage shifts from rotation to pure raw power. The Piston Powerhouse, -3 inches to -4 inches. Picture two pistons. Same engine, same force. One has a long stroke. It travels 8 inches up and down. The other has a short stroke, only 4 inches. The short stroke piston completes its cycle faster, does less mechanical work per rep, and can sustain that speed longer before the engine overheats. This is exactly what shorter arms do in the weight room. In a bench press or overhead press, the bar starts closer to your body. You might be moving that weight 3 to 4 inches less than a neutral index lifter. That doesn't sound like much, until you multiply it across every rep of every set over a 10-year career. That is an enormous amount of work your body never had to do. You aren't cheating. Your physics is just pointed in a more efficient direction. Even in the pool, this can be a secret weapon. Janet Evans won 4 Olympic golds with a documented negative Ape Index. While her long-armed rivals took deep, powerful pulls, Evans used her shorter pistons to maintain a turnover rate they couldn't match. She didn't beat them at their game. She made the race run on her terms. The tax here is simple. In any sport that rewards a long oar, you are working harder per meter. You can compensate with speed, but you're burning more fuel to do it. But in the world of raw power, bench press, Olympic lifting, or high-speed turnover, this index is quietly the most efficient profile on the planet. But we have one final profile. It is the most counterintuitive one on this list. The profile that finds an advantage in the one place where reach should be everything. The tension technician, -5 inches or lower. On a vertical climbing wall, long arms win. It's not debatable. They reach more holds with less effort, but tilt that wall past vertical into a steep overhang or a full roof, and the physics inverts. On a vertical wall, gravity pulls you down. On an overhang, gravity pulls you away. Your arms aren't just reaching. They are fighting to keep your body from swinging off the wall like a door on a hinge. The longer your arms, the further your center of gravity drifts from the surface, and the harder your core has to work just to stay attached. Shorter arms keep your mass tucked tight to the wall by default. Less swing, less core drain. While a long-armed climber is fighting their own leverage, you are moving with a level of efficiency they physically cannot match. We see this same hidden advantage in the cage. Artem Lobov competed in MMA with a massive negative index. In a sport that obsesses over reach, he didn't try to beat opponents at distance. He built a professional career on working inside the reach of longer-armed opponents, not trying to beat them at distance. finding the range where their longer arms became a liability instead of a weapon, too close to extend, too committed to reset. He didn't fight their game. He fought the game his index made available. In wrestling, grappling, or roof climbing, this index finds angles that longer limbs simply cannot follow. This isn't a consolation prize. It is a structural advantage hiding in plain sight. We've decoded 7 Ape Index profiles today. 7 completely different athletic blueprints. Look at your training partners. A gym with one of each isn't just a group of athletes. It's a perfectly balanced evolutionary toolkit. Each of you is built to solve a different physical problem. So, look at your measurement one more time. Are you training in the environment your body was built for? Drop your sport and your index in the comments. I want to see which profiles are dominating this community. The next video shows the next layer of what your body was actually built to do. See you there.